Labor has announced today it's committing to cutting greenhouse gas by 43% by 2030 if it wins next year's election. Has Labor got the balance right this time?
Thanks, Danica. I'm incredibly proud of the plan that Labor have announced today. It's going to lower emissions, it's going to create jobs, and it's going to lower power prices for Australians. And it's in fact the most comprehensive piece of modelling of a policy, of any policy that an opposition have ever done. It's going to create over 600,000 jobs, the majority of which are in regions. It's going to get us to 82% renewable energy by 2030. And it's going to close that yawning gap that we're seeing between the government and business at the moment. Business have been calling for certainty. Many of the measures in our package are those that business have been calling for, because under this government we've seen 21 energy policies and belatedly, targets, but with no plan to get there. We have a plan that is fully outlined on how we can work with business to achieve these targets and to restore Australia's credibility on the world stage, and a plan to, most importantly, protect the future of our planet.
There's been some criticism from the coalition. Has the target gone too far, Alicia?
No, well, as I said, this is the most comprehensive modelling that's ever been done on such a policy, and we didn't set a target and work backwards. We looked at the policies that we wanted to do, and that many, as I say, that business have called for, and that was where we got to. And this is in line with many of our key trading partners. And another important part of it is that we have committed to an Albanese Labor government would legislate that each year we would look at how we were going. We would have to address the Parliament on how we are going against these targets, similar to the way the Closing the Gap statement on First Nations outcomes goes each year. I think that's really important. And also that we've committed that we would like Australia to host the COP in 2024, also bringing our Pacific neighbours into that if they want to co-host it with us. And I think that is such a turnaround from the embarrassment we saw with the Prime Minister going to COP this year, that Australia could go back to being a leader in this space.
Well, the target exceeds the coalition's of 35%. Eric Abetz, does the coalition now need to step up?
The Coalition's plan is there for all to see. Minister Taylor has announced and produced a plan, a 126-page document that sets out, chapter and verse, how we can get there without taxation, relying on technology, relying on innovation, doing the right thing to protect our jobs in manufacturing, in the agricultural sector. These are the things that need protection, also in our mining sector, and that is where I must say the Australian Labor Party are unfortunately losing their historic roots amongst those workers in the mining, agricultural and manufacturing sectors. And look, for Australia hosting a COP meeting, I just hope we don't see the debacle of another 400 private jets lined up at, let's say, Sydney Airport, which sort of, I think, exposes what a lot of this is about, a lot of talk fest, a lot of virtue signalling, whereas the plan that Angus Taylor has set out is doable without prejudicing people's cost of living, their energy prices, and in particular, their jobs.
If I could just respond to that, Danica, this is a plan that's going to create over 600,000 jobs, the majority of which are in the regions. And the regions that have powered Australia all along will be the regions that continue to and that will benefit from the majority of these jobs. At the moment, our economy is being left behind. Our private sector is way ahead of the government on this. This is a plan that's going to spur $76 billion in investment, both private and government. Which, Australia needs to take advantage of the opportunities being presented here. At the moment, we're being left behind, and we will be paying the price as the rest of the world moves on, because they know we need to take action on climate change, and it's affecting our exports and it's affecting Australian jobs. So this is a plan about Australia's
Alicia,
future.
what about cost of living? Just going on to Eric Abetz's point there, will Australians pay the price under this proposal?
This plan will lower power prices by $275 a year at first, and that increases as we go on. Renewable energy is cheaper, and what we need to continue that investment in that is actually that certainty. We need government to get out of the way at this point and allow that investment that the private sector wants to make in renewable energy to continue. A really important part of our plan that we actually had already announced is our Rewiring the Nation plan, which is about investing $20 billion in upgrading our grid so that it's ready to take on the investment in renewables that is coming.
This is really magic pudding stuff. We are told that renewable energy is cheaper. Well, if it is, why does it need to be subsidised and encouraged? The private sector would be down that burrow.
They are.
Without any hesitation.
They are.
And what we need to be honest with the Australian people is that there is a cost as well as a benefit to going down this track, and that is why an evolution, which we're suggesting rather than a revolution, which the Labor Party wants to take us on, is a lot better an approach because it's sustainable, not only environmentally, but also economically, and especially for our jobs and cost of living.
Well, I'd really encourage viewers to have a look at our modelling released in full today, because all the answers are in there, and we expect scare campaigns from this government. It's all they've got.
Well, already gearing up for climate policy to be a big one at next year's federal election. We have unfortunately run out of time though. Eric Abetz, Alicia Payne, great to chat to you both. Thank you for joining me this afternoon.